with one of my clients, and I just wanted to have a chat to her about what it's like running a small business in Australia right now, what it's been like over the last 3 years. Very, very candid. Her name is Anissa, so she runs a successful acupuncture clinic called Pure Alchemy TCM. I just wanted to have a very casual chit chat about what it's like working with me, and also what it's like being a business owner. Hi Anissa.
Hey, how you going?
So I've been working with Anissa now since 2020. In fact, I think it was right after lockdown you became my client.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it after lockdown or before? I can't remember.
I don't know.
We might have just started talking to
Yeah,
each
we might
other.
have just started talking. So it's been a good 3 years, I think.
Yes.
I think we work really well together. I have learnt so much about my own personal health with you being a client.
Definitely. I mean, I've learnt much from you too.
Oh, that's good to
You should
hear.
have seen my first posts. They were terrible.
That's hilarious. Well, it's good. It's good that we developed a really good relationship with that. So the whole reason why I wanted to get you on here is just to create a series of, what it's like being your own business owner. So, let's start from the basics. How did you become an acupuncturist?
So I haven't always been an acupuncturist. My first degree is actually in computing science, and my first job was working in the military, the Navy, actually as a subcontractor.
Yeah.
Working on their frigates and submarines.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't really my calling, but I was constantly sick. And
Right.
so, not knowing what I wanted to do, I ended up travelling to England, and I did contract work for banks such as Deutsche Bank.
Wow.
And that was fun in terms of it gave me a lot of money,
Yep.
but I wasn't healthy.
Right.
So when I came back to Australia, I just decided I was going to use all this money and study Chinese medicine.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yep. So was that direction purely because you thought I need to make health choices in my life that are going to better me?
It's hard to go to a job every day when you're not fulfilled.
Yeah.
And I knew that my passion lay in understanding myself, my health,
Yep.
understanding what was working for me and what wasn't working for me. In fact, I invested a lot of my own time. All my books are about healing,
Yep.
whether it's about alternative health or about spiritual kind of healing and so on. So instead of waking up every day to an alarm and getting on the train and spending 8-9 hours doing something you weren't passionate about,
Yeah.
I just finally made that decision. I made that promise to myself that I would do that.
Yeah. So that's fantastic. So making those choices to wake up and do something more fulfilling, that's what led you on the path of being an acupuncturist. Is that right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I have to say my background is actually my family are all Western medical doctors.
Really?
So I broke with tradition.
Wow.
And I went to an acupuncturist when I was working near St Leonard's.
Really?
And she was just working close by, so it was by chance that I walked into her clinic.
Really?
Yeah,
And you obviously got benefits from that treatment, and that
definitely,
sort of awoke
definitely.
you up to different
It was a
things.
completely different way of looking at things.
Wow.
So if you're looking for pharmaceuticals and that's all you want, then this is not really the path that you really want to go down. You've got to change the way you view the world.
Yeah. And talking about pharmaceuticals, because obviously the last 3 years has been it's been a massive impact on a lot of people's lives without sounding, too political. Have you ever noticed any sort of personal shifts, not within yourself, but within long-term patients, that they feel that they wanted to take a more alternate route to optimize their health?
So are you saying, have I ever seen clients that have achieved some level of health and were inspired? Oh,
Yes.
definitely.
Yeah.
All different types.
Yeah.
Some people are just looking for validation. They want to believe something, but they don't know if it's really true.
Right.
So you're just providing them little bits and pieces along the way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's really interesting, isn't it, that, you talked about wanting something more fulfilling in your life. How fulfilling is that, though? To have someone actually come in and watch them on their own personal health journey where they have a sort of an inner awakening in themselves.
So I think that this happens in a lot of different areas. For instance, teachers their role is not only to teach but also to inspire.
Yeah.
I think that it happens in most careers, and I think there are certain people that like doing that kind of stuff. So I'm just distracted by the two ducks.
No, there's a lot of ducks here. It's very, very cute. It's a beautiful location. If you're ever in the area, do come into Camellia Gardens. It's lovely here.
And we're feeding it kibble.
We're feeding it kibble,
Not bread.
no bread, because the bread's not good for them. I mean, if you really want to get into there, bread's not good for us either, but that's a conversation for another day. So being a small business owner, so when you started your journey of being an acupuncturist, what did you foresee? Did you foresee yourself running your own clinic? Or, what direction at first did you sort of envisage in your mind?
In Australia, we don't really have the support of hospitals or the government. So really, if you see yourself in a career in acupuncture or herbal medicine, you really are looking at either working as a sole trader or working in a kind of like a group of people such as physio, chiro, acupuncturist, something like that.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
okay. So they're sort of your choices, and you made the choice directly just to go on your own?
In China, I know that you can work in hospitals, like they have
Really?
Chinese medicine hospitals.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's where it came from, right? So it makes sense.
So here, no, you don't really have that option.
Yeah, okay.
Although there are IVF clinics that incorporate acupuncturists in with them. So there are kind of bending of the rules, and it's definitely becoming more mainstream here in Australia.
Yeah, okay.
So there are larger institutions that are starting to employ acupuncturists.
Which I think is really refreshing actually, because it means that you can have those conversations with people who, are very pharmaceutically trained, but are still open to the idea and the prospect of incorporating that with a more holistic style of also, working towards optimal health too.
Yeah. And having said that, it was lovely to see in China the structure of great big halls being filled with Chinese herbs and medicine being dispensed on a big scale, on a large scale. So that was actually quite interesting.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And did you train in China?
I did most of my degree in Australia and 3 months in China in a hospital as part of my training.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that something that, is a recommendation, or is that something you chose to do yourself?
Back when I did Chinese medicine, it was required that we spend 3 months.
Right, okay.
But now in Australia, you can opt to do all your training here in Australia, including the 3 months of intensive.
Well, that just shows that there's been change then in Australia to allow for that to happen, to know that you've actually got the facilities here to do that and support you doing that. Wow. So okay, moving on from that then, you made that life choice. Then being a small business owner, that has its challenges in itself.
Of course, no one teaches you to be a small business owner when you're doing that kind of course.
No.
So I was lucky that it was not my first career.
Right.
So I had life skills.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And they help back you to create the foundation of being a small business owner.
I think it's much harder if you come straight out of school.
Right.
And you're faced with starting off your own business.
Yeah. So just for conversation's sake, say someone does want to be an acupuncturist and they want to run their own clinic in today's times, would you recommend that they try and get a job working with a physio or a chiro to get that experience and to start to learn the business modules of how it is to run a business before going out on their own?
I do. I mean, if you had a lot of money and you don't mind being in deficit to begin with, then I'd say start your own business. But there's a lot to be learned from watching other people, such as physios and chiros, and just watching them run a business.
Yeah, and I think you've hit the nail on the head there too, because you come from a degree, you also came from, a life of work experience. I was the same. I did my work experience and I worked in the corporate world the moment I left school in 1998. So, that's from there to becoming an independent worker on my own. I mean, I'm only just calling myself a small business. Prior I was a freelance.
She's being very, she's underrating
I'm underrating myself. I get told that I do that a lot. But being a small business owner then, both you and I, we had life experience, went and got a degree, but we already had a lot of life experience to help us back that degree.
Yes.
It doesn't matter that the degrees were different. My degree in journalism, your degree in, is it acupuncture or is it?
It's traditional Chinese medicine.
Traditional Chinese
which
medicine.
includes acupuncture, herbal medicine, and massage.
Yeah, so either way, at the end of the day, we both have a degree, but we also have the life skills.
Yes.
And when you look at a lot of young people, I know that I've worked with internships with a lot of young people today. They come out of their degree in uni, and sure, some of them might have casual jobs or part-time jobs, but do they have those life skills that more mature age students have when they graduate? No. And so they come out of that degree and they actually don't have the skills that they need to go and start their own business or to be an entrepreneur or whatever it is they might envisage or dream for themselves.
That's it.
Yeah, and I think that you're dead on the money there. I think having those life skills can attribute to you being far more successful in life than just stepping straight out of uni.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I will say that having people skills is another thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a huge thing.
In your own small business, unless you can work in a career which you can sit in a cave and have no customer kind of skills.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I think that's how I fell into the line of work I'm in now. So being a content creator allows me to have my social outlet, like I am with you today. We went and had a beautiful Devonshire tea with scones. But it also allows me to also have my own time to myself where I'm at home. And yes, I do spend long hours on the laptop, but you know, as you all know from my Instagram page, I'm cat obsessed and I enjoy my time in the garden working on the laptop with just me and the cats. And I don't need that social outlet sometimes because I'm fairly introverted, but I'm also allowed that outlet. Yes. So the job has been advantageous for me to have that flexibility where I can have my time, but then have a social outlet when I need to as well.
Well, they say that the best communicators are actually the people that are able to listen. And I mean, if you're all out there, you're not actually listening to what
if you're too
the other
extroverted
person is saying.
Yeah. So maybe it's a good thing to be a bit of both.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Maybe you're an ambivert.
Is that what it's called?
An ambivert. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I'm definitely that, and I know that that's worked. It's worked well for me in the industry that I'm working in, as I mentioned.
Oh yes, it's got to be self-reflection, and you've got to be a bit stubborn too.
Yes, I know, and I think that's where, for myself personally, I do struggle with that sometimes. And I do have a business coach, and she's amazing, and she puts her foot down all the time and says, "Becky, Becky, Becky," and you just said it then. You said, "I think you're underrating yourself." My business coach does that too, but I think that's a growth thing for me. To learn, I'm very confident in what I do and what I provide, but I hate letting people down. And so I feel like if I can't make those deliverables, I'm not going to give the support I need to my client, and I want to give them 100%. And so I feel like, oh no, I've got to do this really well because I cannot let them down. And so it kind of reflects on sort of underwriting myself, going, oh, maybe I'm not capable of that.
I think just the honest communication. So even if you've got something that's going to take longer, for instance, at least have the upfrontness to say, I just need to check this out, or I need to investigate this a bit further. I'm onto it. I'll have to get back to you in a day or 2 days or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think that's true. Have you, when you started out as a small business owner, did you ever go through those sorts of journeys where you felt like you might have needed a little bit of, I don't know, am I doing the right thing?
Of course, definitely. Confidence really only comes with time. You can't buy confidence.
No, definitely not.
And, for instance, there's always new diseases that people come in with and you might not know what to do.
Yeah. And what do you do in those situations?
The good thing about Chinese medicine, I feel like this is an orchestrated response.
That doesn't matter. It's all right.
But the good thing with Chinese medicine is there are fundamental things that we can diagnose with. For instance, if someone says they've come into your clinic and they've got XYZ itis, itis is inflammation, so you know that there's heat in the system. Right. So the Chinese medicine's really good in that we don't rely on a medical diagnosis in order to treat. Yeah. We diagnose with signs and symptoms. Yeah. So the fundamentals is always the same. Yeah, right. Okay. That's really interesting. Running hot? Are they running cold? Yeah. Are they dry? Yeah. Is the liver overactive? Yeah. is there enough moisture in the body?
Right.
Is the circulation going well?
Right.
You know, what is your state of mind? So the diagnosis tools are always the same.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we are treating with the fundamental laws of nature.
Right.
Whereas when you start working with allopathic medicine, it's
Yeah.
this disease has this drug.
Yeah.
So then you have to have that kind of learning.
Right.
Our diagnosis is based more on intrinsic aspects of your body.
Sure. Yeah.
So we always can treat.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think that was an orchestrated answer. I think that kind of sums up why people go to acupuncture.
well, I'm not saying we can always cure.
No,
but we
of
can
course
always.
not. But you can help create a resolution or at least create relief.
It's like
You
if
know?
the dam's flooded, we know how to open.
Release it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I can attest to that. I mean, I when I lived up in Cairns, I got acupuncture very, very regularly.
Yes.
I needed to because I slipped a disc, bent a sciatic nerve, and it was just by coincidence. My cousin lives up in Cairns, and she had acupuncture to help her with her IVF. And she said to me, "Why don't I give you her number? Because obviously the chiro is not helping you, nothing's helping you with your back." I hadn't been able to walk properly for 7 days. She treated me, and I got off the table.
Yeah.
I mean, that's saying something,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So no, it's not a miracle. We're not saying that, but there's definitely benefit, and if you can find that benefit, I do think it does work. So I think it's great that you went on that path. I think it's great that you and I became connected, because I love that we have all of that in common, and I think that's really important too when you have that as a client. I think if you don't have any common ground, it can be quite challenging to represent that client and do that work for the client. And I feel like I always do, you know, my skills are in health and beauty. So I do feel whenever I have those clients, I have a better relationship with them because they're the things I'm passionate about as well.
Definitely.
I think that makes a
If you're
difference.
working in partnership with somebody, it's much easier if they have the same fundamental understanding.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that helps. I think that helps massively. And I know from obviously working with you over the last 3 years, which has been a tough time for a lot of people. A lot of people don't really want to talk about it anymore, but it happened. It happened. You know, how did you find, what sort of things affected your business over the 3 years? Did you get affected? Did you feel your business was significantly impacted from lockdowns and things like that?
Of course. So what the people feel and what their emotional responses largely drives how often they come, when they
Right.
come,
Yep.
if they feel okay
Yep.
with you coming.
Yep.
Definitely. I mean, I'm considered an essential worker,
Yep.
so I was able to keep my business open throughout the whole
Yep.
lockdowns. But definitely, there were many people that were fearful of even leaving their front door. So
Sure.
it did affect me. But this is an opportunity
Yep.
for me to keep working on my business.
Yeah, of course. And
So-
open up new doors and work on different
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
I know several businesses that were, during the first few lockdowns,
Yeah.
were closed.
Yeah.
Because we did actually have a system where if you didn't reach your, I don't know, whatever it is, income, you
Yeah.
could apply with the government and get some
Oh,
sort
right.
of income relief.
Yeah.
So I knew some businesses closed down completely and utterly,
Right.
and I guess I just used that money and lived off it. But
Yeah.
I just kept my doors open, even
Yeah.
if I saw 5 clients, and it really didn't last that long.
No.
It's almost like people became incredibly fearful. They stayed in their houses, they
Yep.
cancelled everything.
Yep.
But after a week, 2 weeks, after a month, people just started realising that they had to get back out there.
Yeah. And I think
Operating.
that's a testament to the human spirit as well. No matter what your opinion was over the last 3 years, it always came down to how they were feeling. And of course, the impact was real. It hit you, it hit everyone on a different emotional level.
Yes.
And then once you got over that, and you started to reevaluate how you felt, specifically for your patients as well, they would have been feeling that they're not having those treatments or contacts, or just, you know, a lot of things would have synced back into routine, old routine. Pain would have been coming back, feeling uncomfortable. You know, depending how you see acupuncture, we see it on a very spiritual level. That might not be the case for everyone who has acupuncture, but I know, you know, for a lot of people on a spiritual level, not having that acupuncture treatment would have left their mind very restless, very unsettled. I mean, it gets, I guess it gets to a precipice where people say, no, I think I'm okay to go. She's still trading, she's still treating, so it must be safe for me to go, so I will go.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. A lot of it was how people perceive things.
Yeah.
And pain still exists, you know, in
Yeah, it
all
doesn't go
honesty.
away.
Towards the later part of the lockdown, I probably was busier than I ever.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we had conversations about that, where you would just run off your feet at sometimes, and you just thought, oh my gosh, people will not stop booking.
Yeah.
But I think that's good, and I think it's good that you kept your doors open, because I think everyone felt so isolated and alone.
Definitely.
And I think knowing, oh, Anissa's open, I can go. It's like an outing. I'm getting out of my house. I'm getting out of my apartment. I'm actually seeing someone
That's it.
face to face, not on a video, not on a call. I'm there, and I think you provided that outside of acupuncture. The lizard's coming. I don't know if you've got food left.
Oh, I do have
There's a
food.
huge. Is it a water dragon?
I think it's a water dragon.
Oh, he's massive. He's beautiful, and he's heading our way. Yeah, I think it's a testament to what you provided outside of being an acupuncturist as a holistic coach, a wellness individual. You also provided that for people.
You know, I love technology. I
Yeah.
love Zoom, and I like my iPhone.
Of course.
Okay,
We're
and
all
I
guilty.
like my iPad.
Yeah.
But there's nothing that beats actual human
Oh,
interaction.
100%.
And I know that there were classes online for things like Tai Chi and Qigong and
Yeah.
yoga, but it never really is quite the same as
No.
being physically present with another
Yep.
person.
Yep. 100%.
So for me, the benefits of being one-on-one
Yep.
is you know, it kept my sanity, definitely.
Yeah, but I think it also kept your patient's sanity as well.
Yeah?
And I think they may not ever say it, but I think deep down inside they'd be feeling that you were there for them through probably the hardest time that a lot of people were going through, especially if you lived alone and you had no one else.
That's it. I'm lucky
You
that
know?
I don't live alone.
No, exactly. And same with me, but a lot of people do, and they felt alone.
Yes.
Yeah, it was hard. So, you
And
know.
there's people that live in, you know, groups that
Yeah.
prefer to be alone
Yeah,
too.
I know. Well, that's true. Exactly. You're not wrong there. Yeah, I think. Yeah, well,
It works both ways.
it works both ways. It does work both ways. But I think that that's a testament to how you are as a business owner as well. Is that you're not just providing a service to the people. You're actually providing a spiritual guidance to people as well. And I think that comes through on a lot of the work that we do together.
Yes, I think rather than spiritual guidance, I think anyone who is a healer at any level,
Yep.
whether they're a doctor,
Yep.
physio, counsellor,
Yep.
massage therapist,
Yeah.
hairdresser, whatever,
Yeah.
they do play a role
Oh,
of, you know, this
Being
greater
there.
healer
yes.
kind of thing.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Because ultimately, you're going to hear things.
Yes.
Ultimately, you are there.
You're an outlet.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true though. And it's like what you said, you cannot beat one-on-one contact. You said it yourself.
No.
You could be the biggest introvert in the world, but at the end of the day, if you are completely isolated and don't have one-on-one contact with anybody, you will go mad.
Well, humans are social creatures.
Yes,
Definitely.
by nature.
And
By
so
nature.
much can be done by
Yes,
technology,
yes.
but
But
it's
not the same. No, it's not the same. No. Well, I think that was a really good chat. Thank you so much. And yeah, if you need acupuncture and you live in the Sutherland region, she has just moved clinic, but I will have some links to her YouTube channel and website down below. But do yourself a favour and book in. I don't go as often as I should, but and I'm not being biased because you're my client, but the 2 sessions I have had, amazing benefits. And I do know from other people who I speak to who do go and see you have had amazing results. So do yourself a favour and book in. But thank you for chatting today. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right, we'll see you later.
All right.